let's go into more detail. Like you have Pepe and yourself in the same house practicing during the day. How was that? Each in a separate room, or you would practice in different times of the day? You would watch each other. How was that?
No. I have to say that I learned, that he did influence me because he was very studious and very, he's very proper playing and stuff. So he did inspire me, Pepe, a lot. He's a great genius. And so, I wasn't stupid. If you have an older brother then he's doing things right, you follow it. But it's and the influence of my father. I mean, like I tell Pepe and he agrees, and I don't know anybody who wouldn't, in 10 bars, my father would do what I've never heard any guitarist in the world, including myself, do. In the Sonata Española by Joaquin Malaz, my father would put his face, then we used to tell him he looked like a bobo. because he would put like this the face, and then he would start I would start crying if I remember, because it was like nobody had ever done. That's all he needed to do. And he needed all the reverence given to anybody. And but he sacrificed himself because being the soloist, and Turina, everybody would worship him because he was playing all over Spain when he was 16, 17 years old. Segovia heard him and gave him a picture that we still have, saying to Celedonio Romero, my only successor. So my father was unbelievable. And but he sacrificed himself to accept being in a quartet. So he never became Celedonio Romero, the great soloist. It's Brim, me, Pepe, John William, this, the other. But my father never really did expose himself as a complete soloist. Within the quartet, yes, because that's how we formed the quartet. If that first concert, I have the poster at home when I played the chaconne, and it was my father, 50 pieces, Celine, 75 pieces. I'm exaggerating, but if you see it, it's Villalobos, and then Celine, then intermission, or a duet with Pepe and Celine, then intermission, then Pepe, flamenco improvisations, and then me, and then the last thing you see is Chacona, Bach, Angel Romero. And that was it. And so then we needed quartets. So I went, and I didn't have any music paper whatsoever. So I took a ballpoint, and I got some white paper, and I drew with my ruler. I drew all the staff completely, and I had bought a recording of the Cantata by Bach, number 79. And it had an absolutely incredible continuo of the cello in C. And then the soprano would come in. So I copied and I gave each one the parts, and that was one of the first times that we played the quartet was ever heard. They all look at the parts and they said, really? Yeah. And we played it, and Pepe did some arrangements also, and that was the birth of the quartet.
I had heard in the early days when you guys started to tour a lot, with the community concerts.
Oh my God, yes.
I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, but
no, go ahead.
That you would all be in like a camper style, like a truck. So it was your father, mother, and Celine in the front.
Yes.
And you and Pepe in the back with everything and
yes.
practicing in the back.
Right.
Is that true?
That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true.
I love that story.
Yeah. And it was snowing one night, and we went to a gas station, And Pepe and I would bang on the window, there was no cell phones, and and for them to stop, we would point, and like we got to go to the bathroom, and but one time we got off at a truck stop or something, and we went to the bathroom, and Celine and my father and mother took off and left us, and Pepe and I in the snow, and they were like, yeah, no way to find out. They found out like 100 miles later. At their next stop or whatever, and then they came back while Pepe and I were outside and figuring out what to do.
Is it true that you guys wear motorcycle helmets?
Oh my God, yes.
And why did you do that? How did that start?
Because we wanted to be safe, and we put two and two together and know what is the most important thing that a human being needs. La cabeza, the head. Pretty much if you bump the head, the whole rest of the body says bye-bye. So the brain controls us. So we figured out then, since we travel every day, so many hundreds and thousands of miles, skidding around in snow from concert to concert, and then we'd be safer. And more than likely we would be, although we probably crush each other with the helmets. But I remember Pepe sitting to my left, me, my mother, and Pepe and I, with the helmets, we would take turns sleeping on each other's shoulders.
Was it Pepe who did a painting? There's a painting in Pepe's house.
Yeah.
Of you guys with helmets. You're in your suits, your tuxedos, and you have the football helmets.
Yeah.
And this is actually from one of your.
Yeah. But just goofing around.
Yeah.
But it was. We would sleep on the side of the road in truck stops. Salim would be the driver, the captain of the whole team, and he would be driving 1,000 miles without stop. And we'd get right to the concert just in time to take the helmets off and come out and play. And, it was hundreds of concerts. And I established a lot of good relationships with different conductors and stuff, which have helped through the years. But then a recording contract came from, to Pepe from, he met Neville Mariner, and he became very close with him, and he was on Philips. And that's when Pepe and I did the Madrigal concerto. And I tease him a lot because now I get, Pepe, this is disgusting. And he goes, ¿Qué pasa? What's wrong? And I said, do you realize that Philips is putting now recordings of you alone? Says Pepe Romero, Rodrigo this, or whatever, because it wasn't my company, I was with EMI. Mm-hmm. And I said, and you see that? And he laughs, a big belly laugh, because the picture that they use on his solo record has my elbow halfway into his picture, because it was taken in the Madrigal while we were recording. Oh. So it's Pepe guitar and this, and I said, that's disgusting, they should at least put an arrow, Angel Romero's elbow, My father was offered to do the premiere of the Aranjuez Concerto at the Hollywood Bowl.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, at the Hollywood Bowl. So he started playing it, practicing it. It was beautiful. But I took my guitar and I went into my little room, closed the door again, and I borrowed the score and I started practicing it. No intentions of playing it. Then it came closer to the performance at the Hollywood Bowl. I went to my lawyer and I said, Celine, escucha. So I started playing the scales. And I went for him, and Celine went, what the hell? What? Eso es increíble. And I said, well. So then, 2 weeks before the concert, Celine goes to my father and says, Papá, deja que el niño lo toque. Let Angel play it. And my father, I'm announced. What do you mean? What are you talking about? I've been practicing it. He says, no, deja al niño. Por favor, papá. So my father caved in under pressures of my lawyer, and I played the premiere of Aranjuez.
Where was Pepe in all of this?
I don't know, in another room.
He was practicing
Practice scales. There was, the San Antonio Symphony commissioned with the Andaluz concerto from Rodrigo. And so on the other side of now it doesn't exist, but the 33 LPs, on the other side was the Aranjuez recording with me and San Antonio.
Still my favorite to this day.
Thank you.
It really is.
Really?
Not only have I listened to it and still do, play it for all my students to say this is the way.
Yeah.
This is the way this should be interpreted.
Thank you, Scott. But I recorded Aranjuez and we did it in San Antonio, Texas, and I was with the metronome and I was with a piece of paper. Then I would do one scale after another and mark it in groups of 5s, hundreds of them, and so the recording came, and the Andaluz took most of the day. Absolutely, and then there was literally half an hour left in the session. And they said, "Okay, Angel," and it happened to be we broke for lunch after the Andaluz, and I had a hamburger. Hamburgers have been very, very, very prominent. No, with my performances.
Oh.
Yes, when I did it at the Hollywood Bowl. Now I wouldn't even think of that. But I was eating, and Celine came and said, "Pero qué haces? What are you doing?" And I was eating a cheeseburger in my white coat and tuxedo pants, ready to come out and do the premiere of the Aranjuez. And don't bother me, I was eating a cheeseburger. And they say, "You have to go on stage." Okay, I put it down. I remember 3/4 eaten, wiped my hands, came out, grabbed the guitar, and did the premiere of the Aranjuez.
Can I ask you something about the Madrigal? I heard that when you and Pepe recorded that fast movement, I think the Girardilla. Yes, and after you got that right, the two of you, just
we danced
and danced. Is that
around the academy? Yes, like freaks, because we had on the metronome set our goal to do it like 160, something outrageous. And the movement starts with the pam 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 pam, and then I begin in the high thing, and Pepe and then when I finish the long thing of the runs, then he takes it over in the basses, and so it was, and then when we recorded it with Neville at the Academy, at the very end there was one part where the last movement, it went from another movement, and I didn't think it made that much sense. Leave it to me, my silly. And Pepe looking at me, like, what the hell? And I said, no, why don't you get a trumpet to go outside of Henry Woods Hall, outside by the cafeteria, and then the main trumpet here, because it goes from one mood to it doesn't make sense to me. And Pepe, Rodrigo wrote it like that. And I said, okay, well, it doesn't make sense. So I asked Neville, I said, put the theme, introduce the theme of the movement, introduce it, have the trumpet go, pa pi 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 pa pa, from the cafeteria, pa pi 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 pa pa, and then the movement begins.
I always thought that another trumpet player put on a mute.
No, it was
really?
outside. Outside.
Tell us about how do you develop your technique, scales, all the works. How did you develop that?
In that room.
Alone?
Yeah, absolutely. Because my personality was not to listen to, because nobody could create my painting for me. You know, it was going to be mine. And I did learn, you know, because Pepe was great with scales and still obviously he is. But mine are different, you know, for whatever, you know. It goes to what happens if you go to a museum. You know, you see a painting of Renoir, and you go like, oh my God, and you start bowing. Then you walk into another room, and you see Claude Monet, totally different. You cannot say any worse or any less or any better, you know, because each one is a representation of, I believe, greater forces, you know, than needs the expansion of different people to create difference and different things. Otherwise, what would it be to everybody be the same and sound the same and paint the same? And it would be boring as hell.
So it sounds like you really developed your style through intuition.
Yes.
Listen through sound.
Yes.
And feel.
Yes.
And just sort of developed your own way.
My own way. Yeah. I started developing sort of like a vibrato that was mine. I started creating, and now people do it, you know, with a round on the left hand, doing a little pull and, you know, a little electric guitar here and there, and then was my own, you know, instead of just, you know, like sideways to go, you know, I like to initiate the note, let it cradle, or maybe on a little round, and then do a little tweak to it. So that's mine, and it continues being mine. You know, Pepe does his own, and it's phenomenal, and other guitarists, but that was mine.
But I want my students to pay attention to something you said about methodically recording your practice, and because so many young guitarists that I know, they get something one time and they think, oh, got it. But that's where you really start.
Well, because you got, you know, once you get it, it's like money. You have to think on how to keep it.
Right.
Okay, then comes the investment procedure. Because, you know, it can go away real quick. You know, you can be a genius and a dumb so right after. And so no, you have to keep it as, you know, superficial as I might sound in the practicing schedule and all that. I was extremely methodical and extremely knowing the importance of repetition, and of repetition when you're right. If you're wrong, you repeat how to make mistakes, you know, and then you become wonderful at making mistakes. You know.
Angel, what was your method of practicing? You would open the guitar case in the morning. What would you do? What was the routine?
The guitar was with me pretty much the whole day. You know, it's like how many breaths you take in a day. I mean, just always there with me. And it's still to today. Sometimes now, when I'm tired of practicing, or when I don't practice, or some days and I don't play it, but you know what? I always, the first thing when I get up, I take the guitar out of the case and I put it in the living room on top of the dining table. And sometimes I don't touch it until I put it back at night. But it has to be in my view. You know, it has to be in my soul. It's my friends. It's there in case I want it.